All right, so we're going to switch over. I'm going to put on a different hat. Well, okay, not really. I'm just going to put the same hat on again, but we're going to be speaking in this case from the Game Master's Toolbox. As I've said before, I'm Jonathan Albin, the game, also known as Game Master J, and with more than 48 years of continuous games mastery in roleplay games, from the classic Dungeons and Dragons to everything pretty much under the sun. Our story today is going to be talking about the rise and fall of the murder hobo, a term that is now quite common in game playing vernacular. And we will go through a little bit about its history, how it came to be developed, what its claims to fame and its reasons for advancement, and then also about how it has started to subside somewhat. As we do so, if you like what you're seeing, make sure you hit the follow button here on Twitch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified of all new videos that we're producing. Alrighty, so what is a murder hobo? The quick version of what a murder hobo is a person or persons, you can have murder hobos, who move from town to town or place to place within the story of the game, wreaking havoc, knocking down buildings, destroying things, killing the monsters, and stealing their loot. And they have very little disregard for the elements of the story. They have little or no interest in the role play aspect of the game, but they are simply playing it as a win-lose strategy, and we'll get more into that as we go. But let's go ahead and start about how they began. Role-play games have always been pretty brutal in terms of fight or die, kill the monster, or lose your persona's life. But somewhere in the last couple of decades, a transition from the less sophisticated games to the more modern 5th edition has caused there to be a change in transition that has kind of gone wrong. The purpose for making the game's mechanics simple was so that there would be a better understanding and easier transition from new player to veteran player. But this also had a challenge. As you play through a game system, if your state of transition, wrong button, gonna get it eventually. Go. As the players play in the game, their role in the story can change, and as the mechanic of the game changes, the game masters want to play with and experience the new stuff. They want to see how the new monsters react, how the players respond to the changes in the combat system, and so on. And so this transition led to quite a few games events that were more like a playtest of the game mechanic and playtest of the monster than it was actually the developing of a story. And so players got familiar with that mechanism and kind of became developed affinity for it. They liked this new way of play, and this transition really wasn't what was kind of envisioned. The idea was you would play the game as you had before, just use simpler mechanics so that you could get through to the good parts of the story better. Well, that's not what's happened. The state or the transition itself has had its cost. Now, additionally, this new change, bringing on new dynamics and in the light of higher visual presence with shows like Critical Role and the like that developed over the last decade or so, you have a high cost of novice. I mean, you have just a wave of novice game masters, and that there's a problem with new game masters in that they don't know where the limits are, and they are easily guided and or misguided by their player base. So the idea of having novice game masters means that you're going to have players that have learning how to take advantage and to like the ability of having advantage. And so there are more and more game masters that are being goaded into continuing to play the way that their players have directed them. That can be somewhat problematic, but even more so is the fact that the reward system has been scaled downward in terms of difficulty. It's far easier to advance from one level to another level in Dungeons and Dragons. You're actually gaining, if you will, a more tangible percentage of your advance in each session, so that the